Well, hello friends. Welcome back to Browser Hacking. Today we are going to continue working on Discord support in the Ladybird browser. And the goal today is to log into Discord because we are now at the point where we can type in the login form and we can submit it. But as you will see in a moment, when I try to log in here with my test account, then we will crash. So this is as far as we can get at the moment with Ladybird, and the issue is that the WebSocket implementation in Ladybird is not really complete. We never really even tested it. So there's a WebSocket implementation on Serenity OS, but I thought I would take this opportunity to fix it up so it works in Ladybird as well. And then once we get that working, we're going to try to see if we can actually log into the site. So I guess we can just start by looking at the error here. It says verification failed, state is not open. And then presumably the WebSocket is in some bogus state. And the way WebSockets work in Serenity, when you're using the Serenity OS browser, is that we have sandboxed the web content rendering process so much to the point where it's unable to open an outgoing network connection. So it actually has to negotiate with a second process called like a WebSocket daemon or service. And that thing will then open a connection on your behalf and then give you back I think it gives back the data, or maybe a file descriptor, I don't remember. Either way, we use a secondary process in Serenity OS, but here on Linux, I think we're just gonna basically do what we already do for all other networking and just hand it over to Qt, because we're already using Qt for the networking stuff, or like HTTP, HTTPS, all that stuff, just because it was much easier to integrate with the GUI event loop that we have to use here anyway. So yeah, so what we're going to do now is we are going to figure out, I guess, how to build this whole thing. So there's actually, let me open up Ladybird here. So there is some WebSocket classes in Ladybird, like we have WebSocket Ladybird, WebSocket Client Manager Ladybird. These things are very fancy 90s enterprise programming sounding. So I guess this is sort of a plugin that Ladybird installs into the web engine, and then this thing knows how to create a WebSocket for us. So I think it will inherit from something like, yeah, it inherits from WebSocket's WebSocket Client Manager, which is some kind of abstract virtual class that has a connect function. Okay, and then the connect function just returns a WebSocket client socket. All right. So we event one of these, and presumably that's a WebSocket Ladybird. Okay, these names are very similar to each other. Okay, so there's a WebSocket Ladybird, which inherits from, actually I can use the class hierarchy thing here. So wait, how does this work again? Oh, I have to go to the base class. Okay, yeah, so now I have the base class here, WebSocket Client Socket, which is inherited by WebSocket Ladybird. And also headless WebSocket, apparently, which is part of the headless browser, which is not part of Ladybird. Okay, and then for whatever reason, it's not even picking up the thing that we use on Serenity OS, which is kind of weird. Let me just see if I use the other CLine project, then it finds the WebSocket Client Socket adapter, which is part of the Serenity OS browser. So it's a little unfortunate that I have to juggle these two CLine projects here at the moment, but ignoring that, So what is the architecture here? We have the WebSocket Client Manager is asked by the web engine whenever JavaScript instantiates a WebSocket, then this thing is told, hey, make me a WebSocket and connect to this URL that I'm providing you. And then it returns something that can then be sort of used as the backend for a JavaScript WebSocket object. And inside of this thing, or this thing is WebSocket Ladybird, right? And inside of WebSocket Ladybird is a WebSocket, which is part of libWebSocket. That's an independent library inside of Serenity OS, which we also have access to here in Ladybird on Linux. So WebSocket is basically, it's part of libWebSocket. It implements WebSockets in a way that they're usable in stuff that's not just a browser, but like if you want to put a WebSocket into any application, you can use libWebSocket and make one of these WebSocket things. And then inside of that is WebSocket impl. And so this is where I think we are going to insert ourselves, because WebSocket impl is a conveniently factored thing that is sort of the underlying object that sits inside every WebSocket at the moment. And then it has this kind of API that the higher level WebSocket thing can talk to. And then the WebSocket impl just needs to know like how to connect to a host, how to like read one line at a time. Can I read anything right now? Am I at the end of a file? Stuff like that. And then it has some hooks here for when you get connected, when you fail to connect, or when you have data available to read. So all of this confusing setup to say, I think this is the part where we are going to start changing stuff. So WebSocket impl, if we make this thing virtual and we take what is here right now and make it sort of the default implementation that we can use on Serenity OS, and then Ladybird can sort of subclass this thing, override all the virtuals, and then implement all of these things, but on top of a Qt socket rather than a libcore socket that we use here inside of Serenity. I think that will be fruitful. Let's try it. So step one, I guess, is to just make this thing virtual. So we will create what am I thinking? I'm thinking we need to have the default implementation impl subdirectory. That's kind of weird. So I guess we can call the default one WebSocket impl Serenity. Okay, so those will just be there for now. And WebSocket impl Serenity, which will then be looking like so all of these things are going to be virtual, actually, like every last one of them. That's the easiest way to do this. Okay, we don't need those because those will be in the base, but we will keep this. And then whatever is in line, actually, let's do this. Okay. I don't know why it needs a core object parent. That seems kind of arbitrary. Let's, because this thing doesn't receive events, so I don't think it needs to be a core object. It seems weird. So instead, it should be a WebSocket impl, and that we get from WebSocket impl. All right. Yeah, let's get rid of the core object inheritance. Okay. And we have some inline code here, so we're just gonna get that over into the, oh, I already have it in here, yeah. Okay, that's a little awkward. Okay, there we go. And the implementation functions, we will just take those from WebSocket impl as it is today, like connect right here, because it's kind of specific to creating like libcore and libtls sockets. So I guess this one can just be default. Get rid of the weird core object inheritance. Okay. Make that protected, because we're not going to instantiate this thing directly anymore. And then all of these things become virtual, as we already did elsewhere, actually pure virtual. Okay. Almost there. And you get to be out of line. Yep. And we don't need this private member here, because we're not going to have anything there. Okay, so far so good. And then this gunk goes in the WebSocket impl Serenity class. Okay. Oops. All right, now we are getting places. Also, what the heck is this weird API here? Int max size? Okay, and finally make it final. All right, so wait, what was discard connection supposed to do? msocket clear. All right. Sure. Let me just space these out. Give C-line or Clang format a little bit of help here, just so that it does the right thing. And there we go. Okay. Try doesn't like that. Declaration shadows a local variable. Oh, well, that's fine. I don't mind that. Let me shadow it. How do I get it to not complain? Can I? That didn't help. All right, well, I don't care about that shadow issue here, because it's just shadowing something inside of the try macro that's part of the same statement. So that's okay. Deferred invoke. Oh, I guess we were getting that from inheriting from core object, which has a deferred invoke helper. Well, we don't need that. We can just do core deferred invoke. Although for that, I guess we need event loop. Yes. Okie and dokie. Okay, that all the errors? I think so. All right, so let's see if this builds even. I'm guessing it will. Okay, it didn't build. WebSocket impl construct. Oh yeah, right. We were using this kind of construction. So let's just do this for now. Still no worky. Oh yeah, right. We have to use the Serenity thing. So just as a first cut here, just to make sure that this little refactor, making it virtual, is fine. It should be a harmless refactoring in theory. So since it takes forever to rebuild, I'm just gonna plow ahead, and then if something turns out to be a mistake, then we can always backtrack. I do have to edit the CMake lists for the WebSocket here. There we go. Okay. Oh, maybe I can build the WebSocket directly. Wouldn't that be nice? Hey, I did have an error. Pragma ones. Okay, that's my bad. That's my bad. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and make a commit here. So I'm just going to, if it will let me, build with fewer background jobs, since I'm recording. Otherwise, I normally wouldn't do that. So make WebSocket impl a pure virtual an abstract class. The libcore based core libcore sockets implementation becomes WebSocket impl Serenity. This will allow us to create a custom WebSocket impl subclass for Qt to use in Ladybird. Okay. So far, so good. So next step is to make one of these thingers for Ladybird. So we will make a WebSocket impl Qt, I guess. Yeah, basically, and then WebSocket impl Qt. I believe that I'm going to write this class, so I'll just do this. I'm going to use a Q. What's it called? Q socket? Q abstract socket? It needs to be either an SSL socket or a regular TCP socket. But SSL socket inherits from TCP socket, so that's very convenient for us. Okay. And then we can just do a little bit of this here. Don't have to get fancy. Coot. Okay. And then now we get to implement all of this stuff, but using Qt technology. Okay, so since I'm just gonna leave all these folks here because I'm going to sort of rewrite their code. Actually, so let's be good boys and leave everybody there. In fact, let's do that for the other file too. Even though I gotta share the credit here. It's I got plenty of files with my name on them anyway. So let's see. So this thing needs to become WebSocket impl Qt. And you are not here, but rather you are part of a ladybird. So you get to be like that. Why you no like? Oh, because you don't know what a QTCP socket is. Well, I can fix that. Good guess. Okay. So this is where we're just gonna hope that they have things with the same names. Can read. No, not quite that easy. Okay. Can I get out of it because nobody calls it? That would be nice. I'm searching for anybody calling this function, although I'm not confident that it would actually work. Socket impl can read. Nothing found. These are different can read things. Okay, so if nobody calls it, I don't have to implement it. In fact, then maybe we can just get rid of it altogether. That would be sweet. Although, I mean, until we know that nobody calls it, I'm just gonna do this. To do remove this function from WebSocket impl if nobody actually uses it, I guess. Or wait, why am I making this difficult? WebSocket impl. Let's just nuke it. Can read. Can read, go bye-bye. Okay. So to send a data, like send a set of bytes and return true, which I guess is like, did the send work or not? So, right. Okay, so we can pass a C string, a Q byte array, or these two things. So const char star and a QN64 length. Can I make a Q byte array like that's not a copy? Or I just want to create a wrapper. Like I don't want to actually make a deep copy of this data. So what do I get if I do this? It makes a deep copy. Yeah, I would assume that it does. Shallow, deep copy. Yeah, okay, so let's not use qbyte array because I don't want to make a deep copy. So instead I have to char const bytes data, bytes size. Okie mokie. And what do you return, pray tell? Right. QN64. Number of bytes that were actually written, or -1 if an error occurred. Okay, so let's say if bytes written is not bytes size. Yeah, let's say something like that. Or you know what, let's do, if it's error, then it's that, otherwise. Let's verify that we were able to write the whole thing in one go, because we don't know how to gracefully deal with that if it doesn't happen. So okay, so I guess we have to static cast you at this point, size t. Okay. eoff. Okay. At end. At end. I wonder if this one is going to give us trouble. Okay, discard connection, just throw away the socket, fine. And then connect, given a connection info, which is URL, origin, protocols, extensions, and headers. Okay, so basically telling us where to connect to. So what does this do? Socket result is blah, blah, blah. If connection info is secure, then, okay, so basically we're setting up, yeah, so if it's a secure WebSocket, I guess, then we do a TLS connection. Otherwise, we do a regular TCP connection, which in our case is going to be like QTCP socket or QSSL socket, depending on which one you want. So let's see how we can write this. Putter, is that putter? Yeah. Okay, so if connection is secure, then we want to connect a QSSL socket. So socket is QSL socket. All right. Actually, maybe we should do this so that we can then, because we're setting up the connection right away here. So how do you connect one of these things? Connect to host encrypted. Okay. And you pass in host name, port, open mode, and network layer protocol, which is IPv4, IPv6, or any or unknown. Okay. So connect to host encrypted. I need my utilities so I can convert between Qt strings and R strings. So Q string from ACK string, connection info URL to string, or no, not the entire URL, the host, just the host. Okay. And then I also need to provide the port, connection info URL port or default. And wait, is that everything I need to do actually? Maybe that's everything I need to do. Where do we, okay, and then further down here, we actually set up read and connect callbacks and stuff like that. Okay, fine. Also, it's a little bit weird that it just does a deferred invoke saying on connected, which I guess means that these are blocking connections. But that's not going to be the case with Qt. It's weird how we have blocking connections. Doesn't seem very nice. I mean, it's easier to program with, but if you're trying to do any kind of multiplexing, blocking on a connect call is not the best. Anyway, irrelevant here since we are using Qt right now. So at this point, maybe we should just assign it to msocket. Or to socket rather, the one upstairs. So socket, move SSL socket. Okay, and then if it's an insecure connection, we can just do. So the reason that I'm using a separate variable here is just so that I get the right type. Otherwise, I would have to cast in order to call SSL specific stuff on a QTCP socket, in case that was not obvious. Socket is going to be make a QTCP socket for me, please. And then just a connect to host, I guess. And then the same shenanigans as up there. Okay. And then alert handler. Okay, so I guess we should set up, there's probably a signal or something for alerts. Let's see, SSL socket, pooter, QSSL socket. What kind of signals do you got? Alert received. You read my mind, Sea Lion. Thank you for that. And then we can just do the same thing that it does, which is to just call on connection error. Cool. That's nifty. Okay, so let's hope that this just works. And if socket result is error, well, these are not going to fail. There's no error path in the above, so we can just ignore that. And then, okay, so at this point, we're just like taking the socket, assigning it to msocket. So we don't really need that thing. We can just do this directly, I guess. Should be okay. And then we want to connect the ready to read. So that's another Q object connect. QTCP socket ready read. Ready read. See, all of those all of those Qt inspired names that we've inherited from Qt and from WebKit and KDE and stuff like that in my past are paying off now, because now I can just guess the names based on our names and they kind of match up very often. So that's handy. So this is another one like this where we just say on ready to read. Klook. And here, yeah, so we can't just do this because it's not blocking anymore. But I think we can just connect the connected signal and then do unconnected. Okay. And then read. What does this do? It creates a buffer with the max size, tries to read from the socket into that buffer, and then returns a slice of the bytes you read. So the Qt equivalent, I guess, would be msocket read Buffer data, buffer size. Is it simple? Or is it one of those things again where we have to reinterpret cast to char star? And no need for try. Cool. And what is red bytes at this point? Long? Okay, so if red bytes is -1, the universal cute error signal, then return error from string literal error reading from socket. I don't know what the error is, so I just have to do that. But otherwise we should be able to use this as the input here, I think. Should be okay. Okay, and for read line, it's probably the same basic idea actually, but so let's see, how does read line work? Read line, because we have can read line, so we should have read line. And again, we have to provide a buffer. And then line is long once again, right? So let's call it bytes red. Okay. Same concept. But here we need to make a string out of this thing, out of the buffer. So buffer, string. Buffer slice. Wait, what does buffer slice give me? I just want a span, actually. Buffer span slice. Bytes red. Does that work? I think that could work. Okay. Wouldn't it be wacky if this just worked? Also, when my hands are one step to the right on the keyboard, I type Momka instead. But Momka is actually an alias for Ninja. That's the 200 IQ strat of the day. So let's see. I need to probably add this to something, or this goes in web content, actually, not in Ladybird itself. WebSocket impl-cute. Oh, I need to do that thing where I don't replace stud. Just because otherwise you get conflicts between Qt and some of our library code. Ignoring return value of function. Well. Wait, what on earth did I accidentally do here? That's not what I meant to do. I forgot it. Put the parentheses in the wrong place there. There we go. Okay, and what are we missing? WebSocket impl. WebSocket impl. Oh, am I not linking with the WebSocket library? Or Oh, the destructor is missing because I forgot to implement it. Okay, that's my bad. Hey, okay. So I'm pretty sure that we have a WebSockets. Yeah, there's a WebSocket test as part of our like random tests for the Serenity browser. So let's see if that works. WebSocket. Not quite. Okay. All right. One step at a time. Yeah, of course, because I didn't hook anything up yet. Yeah, so Firefox looks like this. This is just connecting to an echo service and then sending some string over and then printing out what we get back. But I think what we're missing is in that WebSocket manager shenanigan thing here, we never create the WebSocket impl Qt. And I think, who creates those now? Like, I put that somewhere, like new WebSocket impl Serenity. Yeah, so when you do WebSocket start, which somebody does, presumably. Maybe we don't even do that. Oh, it's only done by the secondary process that we use on Serenity. That proxies the WebSockets for you for the browser. So we never call start from Ladybird. Okay, so that's an issue. So we got to call start, and then start shouldn't create a WebSocket impl Serenity, but a WebSocket impl Qt. So let's see. Let's do something like this. WebSocket. We'll start it. And we will provide our own thing when we construct it. So we will make WebSocket impl Qt. WebSocket impl Qt. Oh, this should probably be in the Ladybird namespace, actually. And you should be in WebSocket namespace. There we go. Okay. So we make one of those things and then we will toss that in here. I think this will be the trick. So WebSocket will take not just the connection info when constructing, but potentially, optionally, a WebSocket impl so that you can provide your own if you so choose. But we can default it to null putter. Don't need to force people to come up with one. And then if you don't toss us an impl, we will just make one internally, and then all the existing code will just keep working the way it did before. So we'll just do this. Okay. And then here, we will say if no impl exists, then we make one. Otherwise, we use the one we got in construction. Okay. Will it build? And no. But if it builds, once it builds, will it work? We will find out shortly. We got connecting to blah, 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 and then connection closed. So it's not nothing. Drain read was called on a closed WebSocket. Now, why is that? Drain read was called on a closed WebSocket. So if closed bytes is not error. Wait, what? Okay. Let's see. I guess I could have messed up any number of things here. So connect. I guess the connection probably works since we do read bytes from the socket. That's promising. And let's see what kind of thing that actually uses. So this is a secure socket, okay. So it's one of them SSL sockets. Okay. So I guess we'll say ready to read. I'm just gonna print out these things so we can see sort of what comes out. Connected and connection error. Oops. Okay, so we got connected and ready to read. But we are closed for whatever reason. So I wonder if I'm screwing up eoff, because I just kind of picked at end because it sounded fancy. What does at end mean? Returns true if the current read and write position is at the end of the device, i.e. there's no more data available for reading on the device. I mean, what does that mean for a socket? I wonder what it means for a socket. Maybe that, I mean, how are we using this? Okay, so let me just log here. eoff closing connection. I feel like that's probably what's happening, is that we're saying that it's eoff. Because in eoff closing connection, yeah, because in Serenity, like eoff means that you were disconnected. So then what do? We have to change eoff so it, what if we just check like the state, socket state. We check if you are unconnected. So you have to be unconnected and can read, no. Let's see, bytes available. Returns the number of bytes that are available for reading. Yeah, right. So if there are bytes available, then we're not at eoff yet. So we need to be unconnected with no bytes available. Then we are eoff. I think then we're eoff in the sense that Serenity usually uses it in this. Oh, haha. Look at that. It actually did some stuff. Cool. All right, that is progress. We get an error here at the end. And we close the connection twice, which doesn't seem right. But no error in Firefox. We don't close twice in Firefox. We close only the one time. But something happened. So let's try to log into Discord right now, even though we have obviously some kind of error here, just because I'm curious. I always forget what my test account password is, but I got it. Huh? Huh? Okay, well, we made it, we made it past where we were before, but closed WebSocket, an error with the WebSocket occurred. Right, so this is the JavaScript on the Discord app complaining on the JS console. So they are having some error with the socket. Sure, I'm sure we're doing something wrong here, but let's see. Server disconnected while sending payload. 4092 bytes read out of 7979. 4092 bytes. Well, that's pretty close to 4096, which is a number. Are we using that number somewhere? Just out of curiosity. 4096. Wait, what was that? Oh, that was this thing. Right. Server disconnected while sending payload. Right, what was that? We got disconnected somehow. Okay, is 4096 a number in this file? No, not that easy. Okay, 4092? No, okay. I thought maybe we had like a too small buffer or something dumb like that. All right. So let's see. So this is, wait, where was the thing? What was I looking for again? Disconnected while sending. Right, so we are in read frame. Okay, so we're reading a WebSocket frame and the server disconnects in the middle of sending the payload, presumably. So we get an incomplete payload and then we just nope out and close. We consider it as the server closing the socket. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna commit these first things that we've done here just to get the thing working in Ladybird at all, and then we can move on to debugging this issue. So what am I looking for here? I'm looking for, I had this thing which I wanted to get into the previous change, and can read was evidently not used, or I should prove that by building Serenity as well, actually. But I think can read was not used, so we can just get rid of it. But we need the destructor for WebSocket impl regardless in the previous patch. So let's put that in. And then let's see. Get rid of can read, get rid of can read. Remove unused WebSocket impl can read. Yeah. Okay, everything builds even with that removed. That's great. And then we have just the stuff that allows you to install your own custom WebSocket impl. That's good. So let's commit that. allow clients, library clients to provide their own WebSocket impl. Cool. And then in Ladybird, yes. Add a subclass of WebSockets. WebSocket impl uses Qt for networking. Yes. Okay. So I guess we have some problems, and probably the easier thing to start with is the thing that was showing up on this test, right? Because then we don't have to dissect the Discord web app, but we can work with this very, very simple test case, because we already see some kind of error on this page, right? And it's a tiny page. So what does it do actually? So we make a new WebSocket. We set up a bunch of event handlers on open, on message, on error, and on close. And then in those, we print some stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay, wait, so what's going on here? So when it opens, we send message content, which is hello friends. Very tasteful test, I have to say. Okay, so we send the message, and then when we receive a message, we say received, response, blah, 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 and then we close. Okay, so we can see here we're sending message hello friends, but we're actually not receiving hello friends. That's kind of interesting. So it's not a little bit of a weird echo service if it's not echoing what we send it. Although maybe this is like a banner or something, and maybe if we kept it open, it wouldn't do that. Let's just try to tweak the test a tiny bit here so we don't close, leave it open. Yeah, then we get the response. Okay, so our problem is, what is our problem exactly? Because we get an error at the very end of this. So wait, let's see. Let's test this out, see what it looked like. Wait, so Firefox closes the connection and then it doesn't receive anything else. We close the connection and we still receive the thing that comes after. So maybe closing the connection doesn't actually work right. That's kind of how it seems like, right? Because connection is supposed to be closed, but we're getting more stuff. Okay, we need to look this up. So WebSockets spec. Okay, close. So we're calling close. And then what's supposed to happen? Close code reason. What are we saying? Were we providing any of those things? Also, oh shoot, did I have a bunch of debug prints? Ready to read. I did have, okay, we probably don't need those. That was silly. Yeah, let's nuke those. So we're calling close without arguments. Cool. Okay, so code is not present, reason is not present. Run the first matching steps from the following list. If this is ready state is closing or closed, do nothing. Okay, so it feels like that's what we're screwing up, because after we call close once, I would expect it to be like either closing or closed. So why don't we do nothing on the second call? WebSocket close A. We need to go to libweb, WebSockets, WebSocket CPP. Close. Okay, here we are. Yes, this is that code. So code was not present, reason was not present. Run the first matching yoo-hoo from this yeehaw. Okay, and then we check if this is ready state is closing or closed. Well, that's our do nothing step right there. Although it's not really spelled out, it would be nice to, well, let's just add that there. Okay, and then, but I guess the first time we call it, so the first time we call it, the ready state is going to be open because we have an open connection. So the WebSocket connection is not yet established. That's not us, but the WebSocket closing handshake has not yet been started. I'm guessing that's us because we haven't tried to close it. Server hasn't tried to close it. So if, and anyway, otherwise we should set the ready state to closing. So in all of these cases, actually, it looks like we should set this as ready state to closing. And then the second call here should do nothing. Yeah, but we're not setting the ready state here. We're just calling on the underlying socket thing. Note, all of these are handled by the WebSocket protocol when calling close. Okay, so all of this stuff happens at a lower level. Sure. Okay, so what does this actually do? We call close on the WebSocket. Okay, and then calling close on a socket that is not opened is not allowed. Okay, well, what if you call it while it's connecting? That doesn't seem... This seems too specific. So I don't think this is right to begin with. Because you should... Because presumably, like, we'll end up here in all of these cases. If it's not closing or closed, we will end up here. So we need to handle these other situations as well. Like the WebSocket connection is not yet established, so pre-established, which means that we are connecting, I guess, or a closing handshake has not yet been started. So the closing handshake not yet been started, I take that to mean that we are open. So if we're connecting, so all of these are like the connecting states. Not started, establishing protocol connection, sending client handshake, waiting for server handshake, then you're open. So at that point you have an established connection. And then closing, closed, and errored, none of those are established connection. Okay, so open is all of these states we need to treat, I think, as not yet established. Yeah. Okay, so switch. Okay, and then in all of these cases, we want to fail the connection and set the ready state to closing. How do we fail the connection? Fail. How do we set it to closing? So we just set the state to closing. Okay. close the WebSocket connection. Fail the WebSocket connection algorithm. Okay, that's a thing in the WebSocket spec, or the WebSocket RFC, apparently. Can I please see it? If that doesn't want to load, that's going to be a little bit irritating. But even so, I think here, if we just set the state to closing and then, oh, here we go, okay. Fail the WebSocket connection. If the WebSocket connection is established prior to the point where the endpoint is required to fail the WebSocket connection, the endpoint should send a close from a. Let's see, wait, what's going on here? Certain algorithms and specifications require an endpoint to fail the WebSocket connection. To do so, the client must close the WebSocket connection and may report the problem to the user. Similarly, to do so, the server must close the WebSocket connection and should log the problem. Okay. If the connection is established, then we have to send a close frame. Right. So I guess here we're making a close frame right here and sending it. That's what I'm looking at, right? Because like send frame with opcode connection close. Okay, so that's if the connection is established. Closing. I'll just put a fix me here that we need to fail the connection because I'm not yet sure what that implies. Oh, yoink that verify, and then this goes under open. That's a really awkward break. Let's put it there. Okay. Okay, does this work? Oh, and we need to set the state to closing if we were open as well. Yes. So after we send the frame, we set the state to closing. Okay. So at least now we don't get the double messages. So we do close the connection. That's good. Still get an error though. Wonder what that's about. Error undefined. I guess I don't need that change. I'm just gonna. Okay, let's just go ahead and commit this. So libwebsocket mark move WebSocket to closing state in WebSocket close. Yeah. Okay, and then what would the error? We get in that error, but why? I guess it's from that we have an on error handler, but like the error data is just undefined. Why are we making an error? Did I even error? So the only type of error that we raise in the WebSocket enable Qt is the alert received. So maybe it's an alert. Feels weird to see alert without emphasis. Let's add some emphasis. Alert. All right, so it's some kind of alert. Cool. What can we learn about that? So QSSL Azocate. Alert received. Okay, so it has a bunch of stuff. Alert level, alert type, and queue string description. If the alert level is warning, I feel like maybe we don't need to do, maybe we shouldn't raise an error. It's gonna take a wild guess here. Can I, can I do this? Alert type, and it was also a queue string const. So what if the level is not, what were the levels? I forget. Warning, fatal, unknown. Yeah, so if it's not warning, I guess. Or let's say if it is fatal. If that gets rid of the error, that would be nice. Closing connection. So, okay, so we don't get the error, but we also don't get anything else either. So the last thing was a description. So what does that say? To UTF-8. Close notify. Oh, is it just like a disconnect notification? Oh, wait. Maybe we have to like disconnect it. Like we have to listen for that. But how do we, there's no on disconnected. Why don't we cheat and add one? Because the way that it detects disconnection is with eoff, I guess. But maybe we never end up here. Okay, wait, what if I add that? And then or okay, maybe I just skip over it. Maybe we just ignore the disconnection aspect right now, because what if this is enough for Discord? That's something we need to find out. Got some chunky JavaScript downloads here. At some point, it would be good to have a disk cache so that we can sort of keep these downloaded JavaScript bundles across sessions, because it's pretty chunky to download them every time. Look at all that JavaScript getting downloaded. Holy moly. Okay. So we're still having an error with the WebSocket occurred. Okay. Server disconnected while sending payload. All right. You know what? I'm just going to fold that into the previous patch and only raise errors on connection error. So what is this thing that the server disconnected while sending the payload? Okay, wait, so what does this function do? Read frame. So reading a WebSocket frame from a connection in state open or closing. Sure. We read 2 bytes, which are presumably the header. Okay, I'm gonna need a frame data framing. Yes, can I get a diagram? This looks like a diagram. Okay, so what are these first 2 bytes right here? Okay, so there's like some bits and then an opcode and then a bit and then a payload length. Okay, and then payload length, extended payload length. Okay, so they have like some optionally, like there's some optionally longer payload lengths, I guess. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the first 2 bytes is what we're reading here. And if that doesn't work out, we say the connection is closed. Okay, sure. Is final frame head bytes? So if the first bit, the most significant bit of the first byte in the header, so this guy right here, fin, indicates that this is the final fragment in a message. The first fragment may also be the final fragment. Okay, so I guess we don't support fragmentation yet, but if that would be an issue, we will get a to-do crash. So we didn't see that, so that's good. Probably don't have to worry about fragmentation just yet. Reserved values, presumably, opcodes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then parse the payload length. Okay. A code of 127 means the next 8 bytes contains the payload length. Oh, I see. So if the payload says it's 127, that means that you have 8 more bytes to read, which will then contain the 64-bit payload size. Sure. Code of 126 means the next 2 bytes contain the payload length. Okay. Seems like a little bit on the frivolous side to do this level of like compression. I wonder if this really saves that much, but there's nothing we can do about that now. That ship has long sailed. But it seems like some kind of compression you would try to do 30 years ago. But what do I know? Maybe it saves millions of dollars for Google every year. Okay, so 126, we read 2 bytes. And then we assume that it succeeds. Sure, parse the mask. Let's see. So we read another 4 bytes if is masked. So is that like a ROT 13 mask or something? Unmask the payload. Okay, so it's like a little cipher, goofy little cipher just to mask the things going over the wire so that you can't trivially eavesdrop on it. But since the masking key is part of the frame, it's not that hard to unmask it. So I'm sure there's a reason for this, but skipping over that for now. Okay, so here, let's see, we allocate a buffer for the payload. And then while read length is less than payload length. Okay, so this is our great loop to retrieve the payload, which could be 64 bits worth of. So we have a 64-bit payload length potentially, which means that it could be long as all day. And this is the error that we get. WebSocket server disconnected while sending payload. Bytes read out of. That's the read length and the payload length. Okay, so we were failing. Here, so we read just under 4 kilobytes out of 7894 bytes. That's weird. So we couldn't get the whole payload, but like, it seems a bit weird though, because our socket is non-blocking. Right. So we have a non-blocking TCP or SSL socket. So if you call a read on it, we're not going to block here. So we'll just say like, oh, I don't have any data, bro. But it doesn't mean we got disconnected. It just means that we don't have data yet. So this whole thing is written in kind of an awkward way then, because it just kind of assumes here that you can just call read in this loop until all the data arrives. Not very multiplexing friendly once again. So what's the easiest, hackiest way to change this? I guess we can just buffer all the bytes. Let's just make a buffer. Buffered data. Okay, and then where do we call it? Read frame? Drain read. Okay, so here, if we are open or closing, then let's just get bytes, as many as we can. Max size. All right, so let's say I'm willing to receive 64 kilobytes right now. What does that return? An error or? Okay, well, I'm just gonna must that like a cowboy. Or actually, no, that's not safe, because it could be a legit disconnection, in which case we actually have to deal with it. So if is error, then I guess we should do fix me deal with connection closure to do. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna to do that so that it actually does crash. Normally I don't like to do that, but like in this case, I feel like we have to do something. So when this comes up, we don't forget about it. Otherwise this might just disappear in the noise. Okay, so this means that we have bytes. And we can presumably just append those bytes to our buffered data. And then we will try to read a frame. So read frame becomes try to read a frame, right? And instead of calling mimpl read here, we just need something like get bytes. And it will take a byte count. Bum, 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 bum. I guess it can actually return error or... Wait, what is this thing? Error or read-only bytes. That might be the best type, yeah. Okay, because then it kind of mimics what we had before. So we do that, get 2 buffered bytes, and then we need a cursor that points into the buffered bytes. So let's see, if cursor plus count is greater than what we have, error. I mean, that's we're out of bytes, but there's no syscall error actually. So maybe what we should do is just this. Like, I don't got enough bytes, bro. All right, and then if we are good, then we will just do span lise cursor count, but we also have to make sure we update the cursor. So cursor plus equals count, return vitesse. All right. So if it's null or if it's empty, all right. And we can just call it add bytes. Yeah, and you'll always get back the number of bytes you ask for, so don't need those verifies. Okay, mimpl read becomes get buffered bytes 8. This looks like a real, I'm sure this can be cleaner. It's just converting a byte array to a 64-bit value. But let's ignore that for now. We don't need to busy ourselves with these details. 2 bytes in this case. Okay, and here we got 4 bytes. Oh, but I need to actually handle errors. So if masking key data is null, return, right? Yeah, because it means that we couldn't get a frame yet. That's the thing. If actual bytes is null, return frame incomplete. That's the trick. Yeah, so what we're doing now is we're just buffering data, and then whenever we get more data, we'll try to read a whole frame. If that succeeds, we will consume those bytes from the buffer somehow and continue going. And that should hopefully fix this issue because of the non-blocking nature of our underlying socket. Now, this is definitely not the most elegant thing to do here. We do have to buffer the data somehow, but like we could probably fashion a nicer state machine so that we wouldn't have to reparse every time, right? I'm just doing this stupidest, dumbest approach right now just to see if this approach helps with the issue. So let's see. So here I want to get buffered bytes. If payload part is null, then it's not a disconnection. It's not a disconnection. It's just not enough data, bruh. Actually, where I did the closure thing, let's just say that. Server closed socket. Yeah. Maybe that's enough. Then it's probably okay for now. Get buffered bytes. Okay, but then afterwards, so after we have the payload, then we unmask it, look at the opcodes and crap like that. But like after that point, we're not going to get any more bytes, right? mimpl read line, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. So after that point in read frame, we have the payload. So at this point, I think we're good. So now we can just get rid of the bytes that we have consumed. So we have to, I guess, if the cursor is equal to buffer data size, that's sort of the easy case. Then we can just say buffer data clear. Otherwise, we have to remove. We have to like cut out slice here. Maybe vector is not the best data structure here, obviously. But since we're doing a naive approach just to test it out, let's just say new buffered data. It's going to be a vector of u8. Append. Cursor. So we'll carve out the remaining data from the mbuffer data, and then we will just do that. Okay. Let's see if this helps. I hope I did it right. Oh, ooh. Hey, dude, we're in. See, this is my test account, Dr. T, also known as Dr. Test. Friends with myself, of course. Can I message myself? Okay. That was short-lived, but we got in. If this would be a hacker movie, this is the part where I would say I'm in a cool way, but I'm not that cool, so this is what we get. But that was awesome. Let's go back in. I guess we have some crash there. And the UI is, of course, busted in many ways, but let's get back in. Yeah, the alignment is goofy. It's only using the top of the screen for whatever reason. Profile images are missing, alignments. Yeah, tons of things that we need to fix here, but we're in. Oh, man. Oh, the hover thing works. Can I go to my settings? Cool. I actually can. That's awesome. I can't get out though. Let's see. Can I edit the appearance? Switch to light mode? No way. Come on, don't break now. I want to see the light mode. Come on. It worked. That's so cool. Okay. Okay. This is very, very cool. Yeah, so I wonder if these work. Not quite. Okay. There are some issues, but it's definitely Discord, and that's pretty cool. So going back to dark. Oh, now that it's loaded, it's super fast to switch. That's so cool. Yeah. Okay. Very, very awesome. Very super awesome, actually. So the trick here basically was just that we can't, if we have large WebSocket frames coming in, we can't expect all of the data to be available when we get the first ready to read signal, right? So we have to actually keep reading data until the whole thing is available. And I did that in the most naive possible way, almost, by just buffering data, and then every time you get a ready to read signal, we just try to reparse the data that we have so far. This can definitely be better, but I'm going to commit to this as sort of the first hacky version. I did not end up doing anything with this connection, so let's nuke that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very hackish, but it got us in, and that's what's important today. Oh man, this is so neat. Okay, let's see. libwebsocket buffer incoming frames until buffer incoming frame data until whole frame is available. So large data frames, or just frames with large payloads may arrive in multiple chunks, so it's not safe to assume that the whole frame is available for reading just because we got a first ready to read notification. This patch does solves this in a very naive way by simply buffering incoming frame data and trying to reparse a frame every time new data arrives. This is definitely inefficient, but it's works as a start. With this, it's now possible to log in to Discord in Ladybird. Oh, that is so freaking neat. Oh man. I guess I can't get out. Can I edit my user profile? Oh, looked like Discord crashed. Well, yeah, we got a lot of things that we gotta fix, obviously, to make things work, but holy moly, this is some serious progress. So I'm very happy, and this will be a great note to end on for today, I think. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching, for hanging out. I hope that you've seen something interesting here today. I am very happy with the results. It is amazing to finally be able to log into Discord after all of this time. Clearly there's a lot of work ahead of us, but it is important to stop and appreciate how far we've come sometimes, and this is pretty sweet. So anyways, this, end of the video right here. Thanks for hanging out. See you all next time. Bye.